Welcome back to the DHH podcast. It's Doug, it's James, it's Tyler. We are back after a week off for the lovely Zombie Jesus Day, aka Easter, aka Feaster, aka you eat ham and eat candy and all that whatnot. Tyler, how was your holiday?
It was good. We actually had another one today.
Whoa, double Easters?
Yes, he rose and then rose again. He keeps rising. It's just like these rookie prospects we're going to talk about. I'm talking about rookie prospects. Here we go.
Yes, that is a good prospect. James, how was your Easter?
It was going good. Thanks.
Nice. I was out in San Diego for Easter with the wife. I will tell you, if you have the chance to go to San Diego, it's amazing. I got to meet Matt Price from DLF.
Lucky.
And it was awesome. I had a great time. The zoo is absolutely phenomenal. I've never been there. I've never been to a zoo like that. It is amazing. And go to our Petco Park. Holy smokes. What an epic ballpark Petco Park is. Absolutely gorgeous. We did a tour of that. It was amazing. We did the Midway Museum. So we kept busy for the 4 days we were there. I didn't realize San Diego was such a culinary hotbed. Holy smokes. The amount of awesome places to eat out there was just absolutely outrageous. So enough about me. The chef agrees. So he co-signs on that one. We are here this week to give you some news, catch you up. You know, we missed a little bit of time here, so we're going to catch you up on some news. As we know, the news cycle never ends in the NFL. Lucky for us. And we are going to talk running backs today. The deepest position in this rookie class, I believe, is at the running back position. And then tight ends and wide receivers, which wide receivers aren't deep, we'll talk about next week. But we're all talking about running backs today after we get into this news. But before we do that, I want to talk about Underdog. The playoffs just started for the NBA. Hockey playoffs are starting. Baseball season is kicked off. They don't kick off really, though, because they don't kick in baseball.
Do they pitch off?
Maybe.
You know,
like first pitch?
Speaking of pitch offs, in Underdog, I have dabbled a bit in Pick'em's baseball.
Really?
There was one moment. Okay, out of all people you'd expect, Mike Trout to get a hit and a run, that's the only guy I needed to win about 3 bills, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, they only scored 1 run against the Sox today. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason why Shohei Ohtani is going to leave the Angels with no outfilders.
Yes,
I was told there'd be no baseball on this show.
Yeah, that's enough baseball talk.
It's way too much time. So yes, you can play fantasy baseball as well on Underdog with your pick'ems. All sorts of different awesome games for any kind of sport you can really think of. Golf as well. We just had the Masters last weekend. So make sure you go on Underdog. Download the app right now, whether it's in the Google Play Store or Apple iTunes. Hit pause. Do it. Use code DHH. Have your deposit of up to $100 matched right away. It's free money. If you only got $25 laying around, that's cool. You'll get matched $25. You'll have $50, so on and so forth. And there's also some best ball stuff going on as well. So if you want to stay in the spirit of the NFL, you can do that. Best ball is always fun to play really early in the season because you don't know how the draft is going to impact people. I feel that people forget rookies in a lot of best ball drafts. I did one best ball already, and I got Bijan in like the 6th round, and I was laughing my ass off because people just forgot about rookies. So don't miss out on this deal. Once again, it is code DHH for your deposit up to $100 matched. We did have a free agent signing, an interesting one. I saw this when I was in San Diego, and I was like, head scratch. Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the wide receiver needy Baltimore Ravens. He's locked in as a top receiver because he got paid. It's also revealed that Lamar Jackson was actively recruiting him. Now, we all know that there's a rift between Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. He's his own agent. You know, it's all about, guaranteed money, Deshaun Watson deal, yada, yada, yada. That's kind of drawing a wedge. There's been rumors of him holding out. There's been rumors of him being traded. We'll obviously know more post-NFL draft if anything happens. But Odell Beckham said he received no assurances from Lamar Jackson that Jackson would play in Baltimore in 2023. I'm going to go to you, Tyler, first. What was your reaction to OBJ? I know mine was like, it doesn't move the needle for me.
So for me, I actually think that this is a good thing for Bateman. Like I'm a big Bateman fan. And for me, Bateman might not be that one that we all really hoped he was. Maybe he's a Devonta Smith, a guy who needs a 1 across. Like, I don't know if Odell's a 1. Rumors have it is Hopkins wants to go to Baltimore. Like, Lamar wants Hopkins there. And if that's the case, I could see Bateman being somebody who is actually moved this NFL draft. My 2 favorite wide receivers on the move are Bateman and Ayuk during the NFL draft. I would love to see Minnesota get one of them. Bring Bateman home is kind of a campaign I want to run.
BBH, I've heard of it.
Pretty much. So yeah, that would be awesome, bringing him back home to Minnesota. I don't think it's a Bateman thing. I think he's very talented. I do think it's an offense thing. But if he does stay in Baltimore, hey, look what Georgia did. They threw it all around the yard. I am not Todd Monken. He is known to throw and spread the ball around, and I think it's going to be positive either way. It all depends on Odell. Is Odell going to be there? Are the Colts going to pass on a quarterback and then decide, hey, let's go for Lamar? There's a lot of things that can happen in this NFL draft, and I am very excited for it. It is one of the more interesting drafts we've had in a while.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts this offseason, and the draft is going to be a big one. James, what was your first thoughts with the OBJ signing in Baltimore?
I mean, as far as dynasty fantasy football goes, I like it. I mean, we didn't really see too much production out of Rashad Bateman when he was healthy. He was a boomer bust kind of player, and I think
a lot of big
that
plays
way
for him. Yeah.
And the last we saw Odell Beckham was the Super Bowl, where he actually did very, very well. Yes, he's almost 30 years old. I don't really care how old he is, because if you have him on a roster, he just gained a little bit more value than he had last year and in the offseason.
Yeah,
so
I think
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think when you look at like target share, where he could go, where he could get a sizable 20% or more target share, Baltimore was one of the sweet spots that he could have gone to. So I think this raises the tide, or raises the sea level, whatever, for OBJ. For me, if I had him on a roster, I would love this and I would move him, just because
I put him up for sale the moment the news came out.
100%. I'm not, he did look good for the Rams. He's torn the ACL a couple times now. So for me, it's like receiver 30 injuries. He's a big name, which can still garner a lot of interest, so for me, it's like, move him. What would it take for you to move Odell Beckham Jr., Tyler, if someone offered?
A second.
Okay.
I'd be more than happy with the second. You're not getting a first.
No, God, no.
Unless the draft happens and you're in the draft and somebody's like, well, I don't like any of those receivers. I'd rather take Odell than a Quentin Johnson. Then maybe, but I highly, highly doubt it.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting a mid to early second, that is a slam dunk for me.
Same for you, James, I would imagine.
Agreed.
Yeah, sweet spot. All right, let's keep it moving. Texans coach DeMeco Ryans said wide receiver John Mechie III will be involved in the offseason program. We all know that John Mechie was drafted in the second round last year. He didn't play at all because he had a diagnosis of leukemia. So we all hope that he's going to be healthy and back to pair with Bob Woods. And who else did they get? Why am I forgetting their other receiver that they signed?
Nico
Brandon
Collins.
Cooks. Nope.
No, Cooks has gone to Dallas. Nico. Yeah, they got Nico. They didn't sign him. He's been there.
If
you
haven't seen the video of Mechie's story and him bringing the nursing crew and all that to Houston Stadium, if you kind of look from the outside, he looks good. Like, he looks healthy. He looks ready to go. He's been talking. He talks to the nurses about it, that he's been working. He's getting in a routine again. I don't expect him to be 100%. Probably by training camp, but I would say week 2, 3, he's John Mechie, and he is a massive buy for me because I was a big fan of him.
Yeah, and I think, even if Houston goes with the quarterback at 102, and if they take a receiver like Jackson Smith and Jigba, I still like Mechie there. If you have Mechie and Jigba and Nico Collins, Bob Woods, whatever, I still like that for Mechie. They're going to add talent around everyone on that team, and I think that is a big buy for me as well. The Dolphins made a move at receiver. They signed Chosen Anderson to a 1-year deal. He's going to be 30. He hasn't done jack squat on his last 2 teams. He's cuttable in Dynasty, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm chosen not to care about this.
I've chosen to stay away.
Yep, same. In other Dolphins news, we've had rumors. Per Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, the Minnesota Vikings could cut Dalvin Cook if they're unable to find a trade partner. And he said he's been told all options are on the table and he could be released if things don't work out. And the rumor is that Miami would be hot on the tail of Dalvin Cook. He can go play in his home state of Florida. It would be a great fit. All they have there is they re-signed everyone. They brought everyone back. So they got Mustard they've got Wilson, they've got Gaskin, they've got Ahmed. So you can't tell me that Dalvin Cook isn't an upgrade over all those guys. He absolutely is. So if Dalvin Cook gets cut, I think this is going to be one that they're going to try to get it through the draft. And if they don't get anything on draft day, they'll probably cut Dalvin. Maybe he restructures. I don't know what that looks like. I don't want him to leave Minnesota because I love Dalvin Cook, and I think he's perfect for that offense. But I understand they're up against it in terms of salary cap. So he is kind of next up on the chopping block unless something else can be done there. James, where would you like to see Dalvin land, if not Miami, obviously?
Right back in Minnesota where he is right now.
Yeah.
And I don't really think that he goes to Miami. I don't think Miami makes a move for a veteran per se. I think if they are going to add a running back in the offseason, they're going to do it via the draft. I've seen Zach Charbonnet mocked to him. I've seen a couple other running backs mocked to that way. Roshan Johnson.
It's a deep ass class.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, these are all things like we're seeing like the Ezekiel Elliott's, the Joe Mixons, the Dalvin Cooks, all these guys that got contracts about 2 years ago. Alvin Kamara, same thing. Like they're all
Lots of
aging.
regrets.
Yeah, lots of regrets about the size of the contract. And it's not really just the notion of the players. They're still producing at top levels. Well, most of them except for Zeke. But it's the whole process of the NFL and how the league is changing from single running backs to more of a running back by committee. We're seeing that change more so now than ever. And it's just going to continue. So these running backs, unfortunately, as good as they are, they don't carry as much value to their NFL teams as they have in the past.
Yeah, I mean, you got Zeke still on the street. I'm wrapping out here. Leonard Fournette is still unsigned. You see guys like Damian Harris, a year off a 15 touchdown, get like minimum money. So yeah, and
I mean, Melvin Gordon, he's a ghost. Like we haven't even talked about Melvin Gordon.
Super Bowl champion, by the way.
Super Bowl champion Melvin Gordon.
Toronto Dave in the chat says turnover season. It really could be because this class is deep and it's going to phase out some of the veterans. We've talked about this on the podcast before. In certain positions in the last few years, wide receiver, except for this year, and running back, it is a turnover. There's going to be the older names are going to be harder to find work because you have all these young guys coming into the league. And this is just another perfect example of that happening. So quick IDP note, former Bucs defensive tackle Gerald McCoy retired after 10 years in the NFL. He was most formerly with Dallas. We've got some news on Mike Gesicki. ESPN's Mike Reese, world-class reporter for the Patriots, by the way, one of the best in the biz, said the Patriots view Mike Gesicki as much as a receiver as a tight end, which makes complete sense because that's how they used him in Miami. He didn't line up in line. That's going to be more of a Hunter Henry. And I would not be surprised if the Patriots draft one or two of these tight ends in this class because it is super duper deep. So I think they're going to do that. And Gesicki, it'll be Gesicki, Henry, and a couple of rookies. We saw them double tap the tight end, unfortunately, with Dalton Keene and Devin Asiasi. And that blew up in their GD face. Some of the worst picks I've ever seen. Head scratchers. Hopefully they can draft like a Sam Laporta and like a Schoonmaker or somebody.
I don't want to see their careers ruined right off the bat.
You shush. So that's interesting. I think we all know Gesicki is going to be more of a receiver than a tight end there. And then we've got some information on a potential holdout. So Fox Sports' Ralph Vacciano reports the Giants don't have much of an interest in signing Saquon Barkley to a long-term deal. On Wednesday, Barkley said he would not play the 2023 season under the franchise tag. To me, you're a running back. You sign that franchise tag and you like it.
I mean, Barkley has no upside here. Like there's nothing good about
$10 million
this.
$10 million, dude. Just take it.
It's $10 million. Running backs aren't getting paid. The Giants are smart for not paying them. Like it's a lose for Barkley just sitting out. The Giants are playing this smart.
He might sit out through like mini camp and part of training camp just so he doesn't have to do that. We've seen Gronk do that in the past with the Patriots. Like, I'm gonna hold out or whatever, and then by week 1, he's good.
Didn't Zeke do that after the end of his first contract? He went to like Costa Rica and trained on a beach or something like that.
Yeah. I think he went to Endor and trained with the Ewoks.
Yeah, Barkley kind of screwed himself by not taking the $12 million per year contract that he was offered.
10.5, I thought.
No, it was up to 12 earlier. And then it's gone down since then. The original contract was $12 million per year. So that just stinks for Barkley that he didn't expect it. He was looking for Christian McCaffrey money, like $14 million per year, and that kind of money just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that window's closed.
I'm hoping that Barkley just takes his franchise tag money and signs. If he doesn't show up in OTAs, big deal, minicamp, I don't really care. But come the summer, I want him there in camp. If he doesn't, that's going to get to be a sticky situation that I really don't want to see for my Giants and or my Saquon Barkley shares.
Personally, I just think he just wants security. He wants a little long term, like, hey, give me 3 years. Like maybe he would take 10 mil a year, but he just wants the extra years. He wants safety.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, yeah, who wouldn't? Like, especially, he's already been injury ridden for like the past couple years. Last year was the first year that he was actually back to his former self. Like the 2020 and the 2021 season were total craps. Like he rolled snake eyes both times. So like he's totally out of it. But this year he bounced back and yes, he was a focal point of the team, but there was more that he could do.
They also need Barkley as much as Barkley needs the Giants. So it's a two-way street.
They should pay him. I think they should pay him.
Yeah. Keeping it in the NFC East, Sportico, which I don't know what that is, but there's been multiple reports that the Commanders owner, Daniel Snyder, has agreed to sell the team, finally, get Dan Snyder out of the league.com, for $6 billion to Philadelphia 76ers / New Jersey Devils owner Josh Harris. He's like, you know what? He's like got the infinity gauntlet of sports teams. And he's like, oh, I got 2. Now add 3. He'll probably buy like an MLS team and like maybe a pickleball league or something. So he's putting together his gauntlet of teams. Must be nice to be able to drop $6 billion, the largest sale in NFL history for a team. Crazy.
I do want to say this. The guy from Canada came in with a $6 million bid. And then Josh Harris came in with billion. Okay. Billion. And then Josh Harris came in with a 6.05 just to top it so he can finalize the deal, because there was an actual bidding war that was just about to happen. But apparently Harris said
don't come up for sale often.
Yep. Yeah, and if you look at the recent
and it's a legacy franchise, like
100%. And there's rumors they're going to change the stadium. It's huge news for
The
Washington.
stadium there, I saw a soccer match there. That stadium sucks. It is so outdated. They have issues with the toilets every year. Like
people falling on Jalen Hurts.
Sucks. It is so bad. It's not good, guys.
That's gonna be the first thing. And Magic Johnson is a part of this, and they're talking about maybe Lamar goes to the Commanders.
Nope.
That could be a thing, because guess what? Magic Johnson knows he can pay players fully guaranteed contracts. He's part of the NBA and baseball. And guess what? Josh Harris, he knows how to play players. Philadelphia 76ers, they pay guaranteed contracts. They don't care. So Lamar, I think is a good candidate to be part of them, which of course would suck for Howell.
Well, there was news today that the Commanders don't have any intention on drafting a quarterback, and that rolling with Howell.
Correct.
So I will howl at the moon if that happens, because I will be thrilled.
I love Howell.
I have Sam Howell in a lot of spots. So
Ron Rivera has also said that he is the future. So that's also a positive note.
Yeah, I think they're going to add.
As long as Ron Rivera is there.
Yeah. What's the future to Ron Rivera?
That's true. Let's see how long the riverboat Ron runs downstream. But
he's got one paddle.
I for sure they are going to build around Sam Howell. There is a small chance that maybe in the late second, early third round that they do take a swing at Hendon Hooker if he's still there. But I am not worried about Sam Howell compared to Hendon Hooker, which is crazy to say because he went into the 5th round last year. But
and yet is 3 years younger than Hooker.
Yeah.
Always good. Yeah, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a joke there somewhere.
Yeah, there's a joke there, but I'm not
a
going to
looker.
make it. Yeah.
Keep it rolling.
I want to give a shout out to Trophy Smack, our longest standing sponsor here on the Dynasty Happy Hour. Quick story. I went axe throwing with my wife the weekend of my birthday, and we were throwing axes, and I noticed a custom belt hanging on the wall by the front. And I said, hey, where did you get that belt? And he's like, I got it like Trophy. I go, you got it on trophysmack.com. I know that belt. He's like, yeah, I did. So they do leagues there, and they give out belts for league winners and rings. So, of course, you know what I did? I was like, hey, man, save yourself $60 when you order the belt again and use code DHHRing. He's like, really? He's like, can you write that down for me? He's like, I'm always looking to save money. I go, of course, you're a small business. You need to save money. So I wrote down DHHRing. So look at that. Just axe throwing and finding Trophy Smack belts. and using discount codes. It's as easy as that. Go on trophysmack.com. If you haven't got your trophy from your league, it is now officially April, and the season ended months ago. So you should probably get on that. Don't be that commissioner that waits till the last minute and gets it before the season. Get it now. Get a customized one if you'd like. He had a customized one. It had an axe on it. It was really, really sharp looking. It was awesome. Use
like
the code.
sharp like an axe.
Cuts like a knife, according to Brian Adams.
Through butter.
Through butter. So use code DHHRing, get that $60 off, and there's stuff on there for your losers of your league. We all love the losers. We all love to talk a little trophy smack to them for being so terrible and bad.
Wow.
So you can get them toilet bowls and toilet seats and all sorts of stuff. So check out trophysmack.com today. Once again, that is DHH Hreng. All right, let's get into this rookie running back class. It is a deep one. Very, very deep. I want to talk. We've got some ADP in front of us. As we all know, the consensus 101, I'm not here to talk about Bijan Robinson. We all know Bijan, generational. He's great. He's awesome.
I'm going to go through my notes.
Yeah.
I watched a story on Bijan today that he was born with no heartbeat. And his grandmother had to step in and gave him the old boop and got him going. How crazy is that?
Wow.
Like that was, I saw that on ESPN and I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And he was raised by his grandfather. His dad wasn't in his life. His grandfather was an actual referee. So that's what got him to the love of football. And he used to walk around with a football all the time. They said it was like his comfort blanket. Remember the movie, The Program? Omar Epps used to walk around with the football so he wouldn't fumble and they try to strip it out. That was Bijan Robinson in middle school and high school. It's just a great story for Bijan. Some fun facts. Because you've all heard the other stuff. We all know how amazing he is. Tyler, you've got notes. Tell me something I don't know.
All right, he's 5'11". 215,
I knew that already.
215, 21. He turned 21 in January. So, folks, he's going to be 21 all year. He's a very young
January.
player.
He'll be
Until
22.
next year.
He ran a 4.46. Well, I'm saying like all year he's 21. Some players turn 20, 22 in September, so it's kind of like fool's gold. Like, oh, this player's 21. No, he's not. He's going to be 22. His vert was 37. Here's his pros. Plus vision, jump cut master. Guy can stop on a dime and then go to speed
Is that
right
a bad
away.
Ultimate Team perk? Jump cut master? Sounds
Pretty
like
much. I think so. It is. I just created one.
Nice.
It allows him to almost glide through holes in between the tackles. It's weird. I've never seen a player do it. He has amazing contact balance, catches the ball like a wide receiver. He is the best receiver I have watched since I've started doing this. And that's out of everybody. He is easily the best.
McCaffrey?
Yep, better than McCaffrey.
Woo! That's okay.
Running backs usually lose value quickly, but I can see Bijan rolling until he's 30 just because he's his multi-asset. He's never really taking big hits just due to his ability to slip away from tackles. And yeah, like I'll get in the cons later, but there's not many. Like I'm nitpicking for cons.
No, and I could agree with most of what you said there. I just think, I mean, is the hype too high already?
No,
Really?
I don't think so.
All right. So a healthy Breece Hall or
Bijan.
Robinson?
Bijan.
And where are you putting him right now in Dynasty? Because I have him somewhere between the Najee Harris, Nick Chubb starting range for ADP.
Well, you know I hate running backs, but if I were to take a running back in a startup,
He's the 101.
he's my RB1.
RB1. Wow, that's insane.
For me, I'm a little
just
old
can't do
school,
that.
and I have seen phenomenal running back prospects come into the league and not do well. I'm not saying that's Bijan, but it is in the range of outcomes that the hype just doesn't. Maybe he's good, but he's not next tier good. It's
I
possible.
think he's great. I just think the hype may be blown out of proportion.
I would
a
take
little bit.
I would take Breece or JT over him in a startup because I've seen it
not
already
JT.
at the level.
Not JT.
I
His
wouldn't
value
take
is dropping.
JT, but Breece Hall is great right now,
JT.
and I can't take him off the top tier. I would even take Ken Walker because I know the kind of usage that he's going to get, and this is where I'm leading it to. Like, if he's mocked to the Eagles or the Cowboys, where he comes in and is a second person, well, part of a running back by committee.
Yeah.
And his ceiling is capped for fantasy. That's where I am going to already start knocking him down a peg off my ADP ladder. And that's what I'm really talking about here. I know he's great. I know he's generational talent style of a player, but these players gets too hyped way out of the draft before they land on an NFL team. And then what happens?
I mean,
they don't really work.
We're talking hype. Brees did it for 6 games. He's got an ACL injury. So, I mean, there's cons to everything.
Sure.
Give me the younger player without the ACL injury and coming in as a rookie and a player that has been pretty much RB Jesus since
I'm not knocking him. He's definitely my one in the class. I can't put anybody over him. He's that good.
My cons are sometimes he can get a little reckless holding the ball while running, but that's very rare. And he's pretty much bulletproof to me. And
I have for
if he
my
stays
cons,
healthy, I think he's.
I saw him get stuffed at the goal line versus Ohio State. It looks like he may have a little bit of a lower stat versus top 12 defenses in college, and I'm wondering how that translates to the NFL with bigger defensive linemen, etc. So, yes, he's great. Don't get me wrong. He's going to have a magnificent season, probably as soon as he hits the field. There's no doubt about it that he can step in and be a starting running back right now. But I want to see where he gets drafted. If he goes to Arizona, ugh.
Well, there's been rumors of Washington, possibly.
That's fine.
Washington's okay.
I don't think there's really a bad landing spot. People are saying Patriots is the worst. I think that is the worst. But if they're taking a running back in the first round, that's fine with me.
Bill being Bill. Let's be cute with it. We're going to take the ball out of Mac Jones' hand and run the ball 40 times a game.
Jamie in the chat says we all remember Trent Richardson. Yes, we remember Trent Richardson, but he was definitely a different player.
Yeah.
Stylistic wise.
That's our Tyler. That's your tier 1 standalone. Bijan. It's not even close to me. It's Bijan and then
yes,
tier 2.
100%.
The number 2 running back and it's a consensus. He's the number 2 for pretty much everyone. I've only heard one other person, and that was, I believe, I was listening to a podcast with Derek Brown, and he did not have Jahmyr Gibbs as his RB2, which I was surprised. I mean, he's pretty consensus RB2, and it's a lot of this like, well, he doesn't weigh 200 pounds. Derek, he weighs 199 pounds. It's pretty goddamn close.
Well, it's not 200, Doug.
I know. Well, maybe he goes out to like Fatburger and gains a pound, and boom, there you go. The metrics all change, and then everyone loves Jahmyr Gibbs. Like
drinks a cup of water. That's pretty much what it is.
Exactly. James, what do you have with Gibbs? I know there's people that use comps that they probably the number one is Alvin Kamara, which I'm just sick of because Kamara is much bigger.
The size does not comp well. The shiftiness, yes, that's where I would say the Alvin Kamara type comp comes in, the style of play, but he's not Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is like 10, 15 pounds and 2 inches taller than him. It's not the same thing.
Right.
I think he is a bargain right now at 106, 107 in Superflex drafts. He has an extra level of boost when he hits the second level. I love that. He is patient. He waits for what the defense gives him when he runs. And like I said, he's shifty, so he can slide through the line and just take off. Pass catching, versatile back. He is very high on the yards after catch. Plateau. I like him, but he's not my number 2. Tyler?
He is my 2 because you know what? I guarantee he lands in a pass catching role in the NFL, and that's what I want to see with running backs. He's a great pass catcher. I think he is right up there with Bijan for pass catching ability. And this was even a freshman at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, terrible college team when it comes to an offense. It was like the triple option back in the day. And they couldn't even get Kelvin Johnson amazing stats. Like Kelvin Johnson just was Kelvin Johnson. For his 199-pound frame, he can still run with power. And I think it's his just low-built frame. He's 5'9". He's really good at sensing defenders in the second level. In the second level, he is extremely dangerous. I mean, if he's in the second level, good luck, because he has that ability to break away from you and the ability to kind of drop your football pants right on the floor there, because it's like if you don't square him up, he's gone. If you miss out on Bijan, I think Gibbs is a very good second-place award. I would not be sad about getting Gibbs instead of Bijan. And I'll go to his cons right away. He can sometimes be too patient, which leads to defenders getting to him quicker because if he can't juke people, he is pretty much dead to rights. He does have some power, but if defensive lineman's getting him, he's gone. He's down. He has smaller frame, which led to easier wear. He has smaller frame, which could lead to easier wear and tear. And he had some drops, but I didn't see too many where I was worried about it. But those are pretty much my cons. I really like Gibbs, and once again, he is a age 21 player, and his birthday is March 21st. So once again, 21 all year.
James,
I love the fact that you're highlighting every single player's birthday. I mean, we should write down a
because
calendar.
running back's age matters.
Yeah, but only by years, not by a couple months.
Trade value too.
Fair enough. The only con I really had for him was he needs to pass protect better. If for him to be on the field as a pass catching back, he's going to need to be able to pass protect, and his size does scare me a little bit when it comes to that. That's the only thing that and he can grow into that. We've seen multiple backs learn how to pass protection coming out of college that couldn't do it in college as well. So I'm not really too worried about it, but yes, he is in the second tier. I have like a 2A, 2B scenario right now.
So Jamie in the chat says Gibbs compared to CJ Spiller. I would say to that, no. I think Bijan compares to CJ Spiller actually. Like when you look at the collegiate career of CJ Spiller, and it was record setting. Now we all know that CJ came out, he had one great season with the Bills, and that was it.
And one trick.
And then Gibbs says, or Jamal Charles. Jamal's a 1-of-1, to be honest. I mean, the guy leads in yards per carry for his career. If anything, Gibbs, I think the range of Gibbs is from a size, weight perspective, and maybe even a talents perspective. I think, could he be Aaron Jones?
Yes.
That's a great comp.
So for me, Aaron Jones, like James said, pass blocking was his biggest thing. Like that's what he worked on to get himself on the field. If Gibbs does that, he's great. Could Jahmyr Gibbs be Chase Edmonds, 5'9", 199 pounds? Could be.
100%.
Like, we don't know. Obviously, he's got a better pedigree coming from Alabama versus Fordham University. But yeah, I mean, there's a wide range here. I wouldn't comp him to either Spiller or Charles. I think that's like Jamal Charles is like a sky high comp. Like that's the best, absolute slam dunk best case scenario.
The closest thing he has to Charles is A, the hair, and B, the way, like if there's a hole, like we saw this with Delvin Cook too, coming out of Florida State. If there's a hole 1 foot wide, Gibbs has the ability to shoot through that hole in an instant. It's like boom, he's through there.
For any player that plays right now that I compare to Charles, it's Aaron Jones. Yeah. Like to be honest, like because again, the hair. Right, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But
hair
they can squeeze through holes. They're big yards per carry guys. They're electric with the ball in their hands. Like to me, it's like, yeah. So he could be an Aaron Jones. I don't think he's going to be on the level of Jamal, who's just went crazy for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and if we're talking differences between Aaron Jones and Jamal Charles was a straight line runner. I mean, once he was in an open field in a straight line, you're not catching him. And I think that's where Gibbs is more separated away from Aaron Jones because Aaron Jones has that shiftiness and the ability to.
He doesn't have the top end speed of Gibbs or Charles.
Correct. Yeah, like Gibbs has that top end speed for sure.
All right, let's move on to the consensus for the most part. I'm looking at ADP right here. You know, he's the 11th overall pick, so he's back end of the first round at RB3. You know, he's got that bell cow size and, I think speed. He tested really well. It's Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA. I think this guy is going to be a first rounder when we talk about rookie drafts. So I think this is accurate. Again, going to be super interesting, A, when he gets drafted, and B, where he gets drafted. You know, maybe he slots in behind one of these 2017 running backs. It's a Cincinnati or something like that. So maybe he's going to sit for a year. Maybe some things happen and he can start. We don't know. Maybe he goes to Arizona. He's behind Connor for a little bit. But I like Zach Charbonnet. You know, he screams to me when I watch him an NFL back. He's got power. He's got speed. He can pass block pretty well. He can catch out of the backfield. I don't really see too many flaws in his game other than not so much a vision thing, but he's not as shifty. He's more power than he is shiftiness. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You know, he's not going to give you the shiftiness of a Gibbs or a Robinson, but you think he's super shifty?
I think he needs to run with more power because he relies too much on the shiftiness personally. He's got super quick feet for a big guy.
I think he's got the power in him though. He just doesn't. 100%. He just chooses. And at the NFL level, he's probably going to be like, "Oh, I need to use it."
Do you guys remember Derrick Henry First
Who?
year, Derrick Henry, he sucked. He was terrible. And guess what? Eddie George came up to him and said, "Hey, you're 250 pounds at 6'3".
Run people.
Run like that." And what happened? Derrick Henry became an all-pro and record-breaking. And Charbonnet, like I said, his feet are super quick for his size. I love that. And if he just is like, okay, I'll throw my pads down a little bit sooner instead of making those moves, I think it will help him out immensely. So James, I know this is a guy that you probably have at 2, so I will actually give you the floor on this one and stop taking your spotlight.
He is my running back too. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that. It's nice to be shared here on the Dynasty Happy Hour.
Oh, you're shared.
Oh, I'm shared. Hit that like and subscribe button. Share it. No, Zach Charbonnet, UCLA. Like Doug was saying, he's a bigger back, and I am slowly getting off of these smaller satellite back type running backs. Later on in the draft is fine if you want to take a dart throw, but we are looking, since the running back by committee is everywhere, I want the guy that might actually have a chance to play all 3 downs in fantasy football. If I'm going to take a shot on one of these running backs, I am taking my shot right after Bijan. I'm going Zach Charbonnet. Why? Because he has the widest variety of an outcome. He can land with more teams and actually play to his style no matter what. And yes, people say, oh, well, Chip Kelly fed him the ball in UCLA and oh, he's 22 years old, which I get it. He's 22. He went to school for 5 years.
22 years.
And we're all, you know
year,
what though?
so.
You know what though, Tyler? We are saying this
We're
about
turning into ages, and I hate it.
The ageists
I hate it.
of dynasty football. And let me remind you that it was during COVID. So 2020, there was only 5 games for UCLA. So that right there is a scratch. I can understand the age argument if they were playing full seasons, but 2020 was not a full season whatsoever. And the comeback after COVID was definitely better than the setback. He had 2 more great seasons. And there's not too many running backs that come back that have the size and speed with hands and have progressively gotten better. Like, the only knock I have on his game is that he dropped a couple of wide open dump downs. Big deal. He'll catch the next one. I'm not worried about that. And get this, his nickname is the Terminator. And I didn't give him that. That was actually written down somewhere else. So I love the whole thing. I am from California and I am the Terminator. Zach Charbonnet, RB2 for me, man. And there was just one. If you're looking at film, you know, we always mention the Dynasty prospect film room over at Dynasty Nerds. Go and watch the LSU game where he just punches through and knocks down 4 through 4 tackles for 19 yards before he gets out of bounds. Like, he just trucks everybody. That's what I want to see on a weekly basis from Zach Charbonnet.
The transfer thing too, a lot of people will knock him for it, but if you actually dig deep into it, he transferred because his sister was a high risk, and he is from California, so he actually transferred to UCLA to be closer to his family and to, you know, take care of his sister and all that stuff. So that is a huge thing. Everybody knocked him for it when I'm sitting. You know, I had a friend that actually does this weird dig deep into prospects.
I thought it was because, like, Michigan wasn't going to have a season regardless.
It was Eric Decker's uncle, wasn't it?
Eric Decker's second uncle.
Okay.
His aunt.
That's Black and Decker's cousin, right?
This is a throwback for you, Tyler.
Yeah, that is a throwback for sure. But no, it's surprising. I'm usually not in on these running backs, and he's my RB3, locked and loaded.
All right.
I think he's in his own tier. The only knocks I have on him is he did look faster on tape. You're in a 5.3. I'm fine with that.
That's fine.
He can run upright. He can run upright at times, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. He's not the best route runner, but all in all, he doesn't have too many holes. He's good at everything, master at nothing. So I think that he'll have a perfect spot. And like, people are kind of putting him with the Bengals in the end of the second round. Smash landing spot, because I do not expect Joe Mixon on that team.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So let's we'll speed it up a little bit. We've gone over 3 running backs. We've got a lot to go over. I think, like Tyler said, there is 3 very clear-cut tiers here at the top of this running back class. Now, after this, it's kind of a pick 'em. Like, who's the guy that you like more than the other guy? to me, this next running back, who's the RB4, is a little asinine to me because he's 5'9", 188 pounds. Is he built for speed? Sure. Is he Kenny Gainwell? Probably. And to be the RB4 in a class, I'm just not interested. I don't think he's going to have great NFL draft capital. If people think he's going to go in the second round, maybe he does. But to me, there's other running backs that have more size that I'm ranking above Devin Achane. So for me, I'm out on Achane unless he becomes a value in rookie drafts. It's just the size. He reminds me too much of like a guy like Gainwell. He'll never be the guy. He'll have fantasy relevant weeks, but it's going to be like you're going to start him and you're going to try to get lucky that he might have a big ceiling week. And I don't want those guys. Like, I don't want to play the guessing game. Yep. I want the consistency and I want the guys that are going to get the touches. So again, I'm with James. When it comes to size, that's the prize in this class.
Especially that Achane is actually RB11 for me, and I was shocked because I wanted to like
him lower than I do.
I wanted to like him, but Doug nailed it right on the head. The issue is, when are you going to start him? 188 pounds. He relies on speed, and hey, that one trick he has is elite. He is fast. He is
shot out of a cannon.
Dre Archer was fast too.
Yeah, but this is like insane fast. Like
Dre Archer ran a 4.23, dude.
I've never seen anybody turn a corner like this that's heavier than 140 pounds. I'll say that. Achane is definitely heavier than Dre Archer. He's definitely landing spot dependent. Say he does land with San Francisco or the Dolphins, that boosts him up a little bit, but not too much. Like my biggest thing, like Doug nailed it. He nailed it.
And I will touch real fast on what Doug was saying earlier. You know, I listen to Derek Brown a lot now. He was on the show and he's very, very knowledgeable. And I believe he was on with JJ Zacharyson when they were doing their running backs. And he had mentioned like Devin Achane is the kind of player that needs a system and plays built for him. He can't do much else. He's not going to be running through the tackles. He is definitely going to play special teams with that kind of speed. And we could be looking at, you know, like who was it at? Was it Salvin Ahmed that was drafted from San Francisco? San Francisco took Salvin Ahmed, right?
Yeah, he could be what we want Raheem Mostert to be all the time, healthy. Right. But like we said, like he needs to land in a system that will give him 15 touches, 12 to 15, and a system
8 of those being passes.
It's outside zone read, which is what San Francisco and the Dolphins run. That's what he needs. And if he doesn't land there, ugh.
Yeah. So let's move on to the RB5 in this class right now. 20th overall draft position. So second round, mid-second round-ish. You're looking at Tyjae Spears, really the belle of the ball when it came to the Senior Bowl. Everyone saw that crazy movie put on that little in route and just put the guy in a blender. And then he tested really well at the combine. So there's a lot of people that have Spears as the RB3 in this class. Again, it's going to be a matter of draft capital. I think if you hear rumors in the Senior Bowl, a lot of these teams put a lot of weight into the Senior Bowl. Supposedly he's interviewed really well. So Spears to me is an interesting one. I think he's like what Tyler said with Zach Charbonnet. He's a jack of all trades, but a master of nothing. And that's okay. We don't, it's not like Achane who's masters speed, but maybe can't do anything else.
Sucks at everything else.
I would rather have the guy that can do everything pretty well, but he's just not great at one thing. And that's okay. And that's how I feel Spears is. I think he could be a solid pro. I just don't know if I don't know if he's going to have that juice of a ceiling. There's guys that are below him that I like a lot more. So he's an interesting case study. James, Tyler, what do you think on Tyjae?
RB7 for me right now. He's the head of my, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th tier. So he's the head person of there. Lower conference, but man, this guy is quick. He is jitterbug style quick. He is so fast. He reminds me a lot of Chase Edmonds when he was coming out of college. I mean, Chase Edmonds was not the player he is now. He was actually good when he was coming into the NFL.
He fell off quick.
Yeah, he slices through holes, just like a hot knife with butter, as we're going to talk about butter a lot tonight, apparently.
I love butter.
If he hits a ceiling, Devonta Freeman at his prime. If he lands in the right situation where he's playing, Devonta
Atlanta,
Freeman
perhaps.
I mean, that'd be great because he does have patience. He does have some power. Like Doug said, he's kind of a master at nothing. But I'd say if he's a master at something, it is definitely his agility because that guy is slicing and dicing through holes, and that's what Devonta Freeman was about. So I like him a lot. He's one of the guys I'm going to look for in the mid-second.
James, any words on Spears before we move along?
I'm okay with him if you're going to take him in the mid to late second round of rookie drafts. I'm okay with that. Anybody that can hold a full workload in college, 229 attempts for over 1,500 yards, 21 total touchdowns. Like that's something that you can sink your teeth into and take a risk on in the mid to late second rounds of your rookie drafts. And Tyjae Spears, he fits that bill. Yes. We really didn't see too many good running backs in the Senior Bowl. If that is any knock to what he did in the Senior Bowl, like his highlight was the one good running back clip that we actually have. Mainly because not a lot of seniors actually really showed up.
Yeah, and
I'm a little worried about his
face at the Senior Bowl, unfortunately.
I'm a little worried about his overall speed. Pretty slow. He registered at 90.6 in the percentile range. Ran a 4.54, I believe, at his pro day. That's a little bit slower for his weight size, and we're going back to the weight. He should be running a little bit faster than 4.54, 4.59 as they would do it.
James, what about his age, James? That's what we really need to know.
Oh, but his age is 21.8, so he's almost 22 years old.
Oh, he's old. Knock him down.
Younger than Charbonnet. So
yeah, that's true.
By what, 4 months? Come on.
Yeah, let's move it on to the next running back. I think this running back, so he's RB6 right now in ADP. I think he is the most polarizing in this class because you have people that really know their stuff. Matt Waldman loves this kid. We've got other analysts that are like, I'm not touching him. He was a transfer. He played with different running backs that are in the draft and in the NFL already. It's Zach Evans.
Oh, no.
I think it's a matter of like, it's going to be a boom or bust kind of thing with Evans because you see it and you see good things. And then you're like, he's just got a really interesting story. I don't mind his tape, but it's like he was never the guy. And that's a little concerning. So for me with Evans, it's just like, I wouldn't take him this high in a draft at the ADP. I would take other guys above him, and we'll talk about some of those guys. But James, what did you think about when you watched Zach Evans? Are you in or out on him?
I'm out.
Okay.
I have him around the running back 7, running back 8 range in this class.
Not too
so I guess it's not
ADP.
out, but I have other players that I'd like to take a shot on ahead of him. Can we just remember that he got beat out by Kendre Miller first and foremost,
and he got beat out by a freshman.
Yes. And he was only a junior. So where was the real production? His big production year was his sophomore year or his second year in the league, 2021. 92 attempts for 648 yards and 6 touchdowns. Great. He can do everything. He's another one of these guys that can do a lot, but he's not great at anything. So those are the kind of players that are going to go stale, and it's all going to depend on landing spot.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say this now just to get in front of it while we still have the time. I think what we're going to see in this running back class is there's so many of them. There's not a lot of huge needs across the NFL, is that we're going to be surprised by how late some of these running backs go that we thought would go second and third round, will go fourth and fifth, and some UDFA guys. I think it's going to be one of those types of classes where there's just not that much of a demand, and there's so many of them that these teams aren't going to take a running back like a Zach Evans in the second or third round. They're going to take him in the fourth or fifth. And that is going to
I can see him going day 2, late day 2.
Possibly, but that is going to mess up everyone's like algorithm so much because draft capital is important, right? Mm-hmm. So it is going to I think it's going to completely change the ADP landscape after the draft. We're going to be like, well, Zach Evans didn't get picked until round 5. Now he's a third round rookie pick, and so on and so forth. And there'll be guys that get drafted maybe ahead of him, like Abaconda and guys like that, that can maybe get drafted ahead. So that's going to change things. But to me, it's going to be like, it's just not a position of need. We've already seen what they've done in free agency. Why is the draft going to be any different?
Yeah.
That's my concern.
Name it. There's a draft with Devontae Booker in it. And that was a draft where they thought he was going to be a second, third round pick. And guess what happened? The running back class was so deep and so full that it pushed all these running backs all the way back. Booker was a comp pick at the end of the 4th round.
Yeah. And
he was still drafted in the first round of that rookie draft in a lot of rookie drafts. Yeah, I have
Royce
Zach
Freeman
Evans.
was another one.
Yep, I have Zach Evans at RB12, and he is right there with A-Chain. They are kind of in the similar. I think I'll take Evans because he, like recruiting wise, he was a top prospect at the RB position, which I will kind of go back to with Isaiah Crowell and stuff, guys that don't get the draft capital,
Oh
but
man, I miss Isaiah Crowell. He was fun to watch.
some plays of Zach Evans are top tier, and then some it's just dog shit. Like it's almost like he doesn't want to be there. He wasn't asked to do a ton, but he does fight with the ball when he's running, it seems, and when he catches, it's almost like he's fighting with the ball. I don't know what it is. But man, when he does make a big play and he gets loose, you could see that special ability. So just based off that, I will take a couple chances on him, but I'm not touching him in the second round. If he's a third round pick, sure. But man, he's definitely gonna be risky. And I've seen comps of him going to Denver in the 4th round, which would be nice to kind of help out Javonte Williams coming back. But yeah, he's an interesting case for sure.
Yeah, let's get to his former teammate, Kendre Miller. He's RB7, coming in at 21st overall, so end of the second round right now in your drafts. He's 5'11", he's 215. He's got the size that we like, James.
Oh, yeah.
The tape on Kendre Miller is pretty good. I think I think he'll probably end up going later than this in some of these leagues possibly, and I think that's going to make him a bit of a value. I like his tape a lot more than I like Zach Evans. Talk to me about Kendre Miller, James.
Well, first and foremost, everybody should know by now that he hurt his knee in the Fiesta Bowl, and he probably won't be ready until after OTAs.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at summer camp, training camp, whatever you want to call
Summer
it.
camp. Nice.
Summer camp.
Nice.
You know, it's summer camp.
Let's go play balloon toss.
Get your bug juice going. No, Kendre Miller, he's a straight up grinder. He's not afraid to take on a linebacker. He averaged the most yards per carry in 2021, and then he was a top 10 running back in the NCAA in 2022 with 17 touchdowns. He's got breakaway speed, great pass catching ability. He's shifty and patient at the line of scrimmage, and if he breaks into the second level, see you later. Bye. He does run a little bit vertical, so I'm sure. That's one of the things that we look at here. When these bigger guys come up, they stand up a little too straight.
So he runs up, like he runs straight up towards the stadium.
Standing
roof.
up.
He goes over
up.
the defense.
He goes
not
over the defense.
You know what,
okay.
you guys.
That's next level. 200
Jesus.
IQ.
But I believe that's something he could fix at the next level. I don't have a problem. I would take Kendre Miller over Zach Evans in a heartbeat.
Every day.
Just like TCU did.
So
yeah.
So Kendre Miller, to me, I thought I was really going to like this player. I watched a couple of highlights. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into this. I'm going to really like him. I was a little underwhelmed. He just seems raw. Like he's got all the talent. It's there. You see it. But it just seems like he needs an RB coach to be like, dude, don't do that. Hit this hole instead. Jump cut over to this side. Like he kind of gets himself in trouble a little bit. He's super young. Hey, we're going to go back to age. He's 20. Whew. Talk about draft.
Can't
stock.
even drink yet.
I know.
I think I would love to see him like somewhere in like Carolina, like behind Miles Sanders.
I mean, D'Onta Foreman, completely different runner than he was when he came in as rookie.
Yeah.
And he had to learn. He's kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Kendre Miller, they're almost stylistically the same. So I like that. That'd be a great landing spot. But like I said, all the talent, landing spot's going to be huge for this guy. I actually think he's going to be a 4th round pick. I would not be shocked if he's an early 4th. But the youth and him learning reminds me a lot of Alexander Madison as well. Alexander Madison, he had tons and tons of talent, really young coming in, and then learning from Dalvin Cook, you see a different type of player. So Kendre Miller is a guy I'm keeping my eye on. I thought he'd land at RB4, but there's a different player. Hopefully Doug calls his name next because I'm waiting.
I mean, you just got to look at the show sheet. So the next player is the RB8 in this class, 22nd overall. So again, end of the second round for most U12 team leagues out there, if you can do the math. And it's, another really high star recruit. He showed out well, played in a crappy offense last year. He's interesting too, because there are some analysts that really like him and some that really don't, much like Zach Evans, and that's Tank Bigsby.
Yes.
So Tank Bigsby, I like better than Zach Evans. Again, it's size, 6 foot, 210, great tape for Tank Bigsby. So Tyler, you want to talk about Tank and Tyler? Sounds like a new Nickelodeon show. Yeah, Tank and Tyler.
RB4 for me.
Wow.
I love Tank's tape. You go back to his freshman year, Doug, in Devy Leagues, Capitals Pigs Leagues. What was everybody talking about with Tank? He's the dude.
Yeah.
He is the guy coming out. And you go back to his freshman tape, you see it. Because guess what? That Auburn team was not dog shit. They were actually halfway decent.
Yeah, they were good.
This team started sucking, and Tank still played his ass off. That's what I love to see.
The team tanked, but he didn't.
This guy could have went anywhere, transferred, because the transfer portal's nothing nowadays. Yeah. But he didn't. He stayed put. He kept going. He's 208, but he runs like he's 220. This dude is a bull. And
I mean, he can't have the name Tank and play soft. Like,
oh my god,
yeah,
he does. That is one thing he does not do. Explosive first step. That is evident when you watch his tape. I mean, he gets the ball and it's see, and sometimes that can be bad because he needs to be a little more patient. That's probably my con. He could be a little more patient, but Auburn didn't really give him any holes to run through. And if he was patient, he would have gotten hit in the backfield and had to do it himself, which he did a lot at Auburn. He runs angry, and which can lead to hits that he shouldn't be taking, which comes into the being more patient. He's an average receiver, but I think he can catch the ball. He's not a weapon, but he's a guy that I think can catch. You see him catch away from his body, which is good to see. He runs upright at times, which can lead to arm tackles, but those aren't taking him down. So I wasn't too worried about it because he's not getting taken down by arm tackles. Like I said, I was saying as a freshman, I think he is going to be a better pro than he was at college, which is surprising because his freshman year was amazingly promising. So I think, Bengals in the third round would be my best landing spot for him. But he's a guy that can land anywhere and be productive.
James, is there any tread left on Tank Bigsby?
I think so. I mean, he's got some shake for a bigger back. I like the juke moves, but not enough speed to have the breakaway touchdowns, which may cap his ceiling a little bit.
And that's fine. How many? We don't see a lot of those in today's NFL. To be
Kareem Hunt ran a 4.6 and still broke 60-yard runs.
I mean, I saw him having a little bit of a problem exploding off the cut juke. Ankle got stuck in the ground a little bit on some of his film. Didn't do anything extraordinary for me on tape. Probably not as much as Tyler liked him, but I think he's probably a third round Superflex rookie draft prospect. And if he lands at the right spot where he can be utilized, I'm okay with it. Most of these guys, and I'm going to keep going back to it, it's all landing spot and potential probability.
I got a hot one. So the next player I'm going to let James talk about here in a second because James and I love this dude. He's the RB9.
I had to move him down.
Current ADP is 23. Didn't participate at the combine. He has an undisclosed medical issue. But when I watch his tape, I fell in love with Sean Tucker. And if we want to talk about landing spots, this landing spot will make his value explode. What if the Los Angeles Chargers select Sean Tucker? Austin Eckler comes back for a year.
Kelly.
Shut up. Austin Eckler comes back for a year. Sean Tucker, bro. Like, I love Sean Tucker. And if he were to go to the Chargers, and now is he as good of a pass catcher as Eckler? Probably not. But Eckler coming out wasn't like a not all-time great, but he's got a 100-catch season. He wasn't that guy coming out as an undrafted free agent. Tucker, to me, like size, speed, a lot of comps to Eckler. So for me, I love Sean Tucker. James, take the floor.
Yeah, I mean, anytime a player is given the rock and they go over 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns in a season, I mean, we should be raising more of an eyebrow for Sean Tucker. And I think the whole fantasy industry as a whole has just kind of left him for dead a little bit. I don't hear a lot of people talking about him, and he can do it all. He has the size. He has the speed. He came into second behind Bijan Robinson in a lot of statistics. And I think he's going to fall to the right team, and it's going to be the right situation. And I could just see him being such a hidden gem in this year's class. And he's falling in rookie drafts now. Like, I took him a couple weeks ago in the second round, mid-second round. Like he's
Probably get him
going
late second now.
He's going
Early
late
third.
second, early third. He kind of reminds me of David Montgomery, not from a bruiser standpoint, but he can kind of do almost everything really good, not great, which is just fine for me. He's got the speed to get around to the corner and cut up field, and he has the speed to finish and the size to break tackles. So yes, he is, in my eyes, an all-purpose back.
Yeah. Tyler, any words on Sean Tucker before we hit the speed round?
I just should send out sorry for your loss.
And he's
cards
my RB5.
right now
He's my RB5.
because there is a really good opportunity this guy does not get drafted until the 5th, 6th, 7th round.
I know it sucks.
And guys
see.
like Anaconda, Abracadabra, and other
My
players.
Abacanda don't want
like,
none.
honestly, I would put good money down. Evan Hall gets drafted before him in the NFL draft. I just think there's more to this medical issue than we know, and it's sad because on tape he is a very good player. For me, it reminds me a lot of Kenny Gainwell. I loved Kenny Gainwell, and I thought he could be an every down back, but certain situations fell. He's a 5th-round pick, and I think that's what's going to happen to Sean Tucker. He'll be part of a committee. You won't be able to start him, yada, yada, yada. So I actually have him at RB10 at the moment. I would have him ahead of A-Chain just because his tape is really good. I do like his tape. It's that medical issue, and I think that's the reason why nobody is talking about him because nobody knows about this medical issue.
That's perfectly fine. Let
And
him fall.
it's scary.
Yeah.
Like, that's the scary part is, like,
Not that's scary.
like, what's his name? Lattimore that got drafted. Top-tier talent. Everybody loved him.
Well, he also
Tape
had like
was-
a knee that was
Yeah.
shredded like
Yeah,
string
and
cheese, dude.
This isn't like lock it up and throw away the key. He did go and participate in his pro day.
I mean,
it's
his
not
personal pro day. That's
personal
personal
pro
pro day.
day.
Looked damn
Yeah,
good too.
but I mean, hey, he ran a 4.39 at his personal pro day.
40-inch vertical. Like he's yeah.
I think
I'm
his
in on Sean
speed and,
Tucker.
and
If
athleticism is
if all
going
this, if
to
he
take
gets
it for
drafted
me.
in the 5th round, I'll gladly take him in the late 3rd round in a rookie
what if he
draft.
doesn't go drafted?
I
I'll
can
still
see
take him. I'll
him
still
getting
draft him. I'll
picked up
overdraft him.
somewhere.
Kennedy Brooks. Remember him?
Yeah, from last year. It's okay.
There's
I
you
a
know,
lot,
like
there's a lot
even
of
if
running
he's like a
backs.
6th-round pick for the Bills, I'm all about it.
All right,
There's
it's
a lot of running
okay.
backs.
let's hit a little bit of a speed round here. I'm going to give you 5 names and their ADPs, and we can talk and pick and choose what we want to talk about. So number 1, right after Sean Tucker, is Israel Abanikanda. We've got RB11 Roshan Johnson, ADP just inside the 2nd round, obviously teammate of Bijan Robinson. We've got Chase Brown, who for me opened my eyes at the combine. I'm loving some Chase Brown. RB13, Kenny McIntosh, aka this year's Kyron Williams. RB14, we've got Eric Gray, and RB15, guy that's gaining a little bit of momentum here in the dynasty circles is Dwayne McBride. So Tyler, out of those 5 guys, give me a couple little nuggets here and there of what you got.
All right, I have Chase Brown, RB5. Doug, you're going to like that. Chase Brown is my RB5. I love
Chase
his
Brown.
tape. This guy blew up the frickin' Big Ten. Hey, Doug, what do I always say the Big Ten's about? Defense
Yeah,
and
defense.
running
And
the
the
ball.
football. Mhm.
And he destroyed Minnesota, which, hey, if Minnesota's going to hang their hat on, it's their defense. That's all they pretty much have. And he destroyed them. That's all they talked about on the announcers. Like, this guy is literally slicing and dicing through Minnesota. They can't do anything. They knew the run was coming. And you know what he did? All he did was turn the corner, slice and dice through the holes. He is so good. He's not a good pass blocker. He will definitely need to work on that. And, hey, Doug, my comp for him, Aaron Jones. It was
And we all know who the number 1 Aaron Jones guy was, who got him in all the 3rd rounds of his rookie drafts.
I have it written down. Comp to Aaron Jones because pass blocking was not his thing, but man, when he gets the ball and he's part of that offense, he had a touchdown against was it Illinois or something? It might have been Minnesota, but he had to dive for it and he caught it away from his body. A lot of the catches I saw him catch were away from his body. I loved it. Love Chase Brown. He's going to be a guy that I think we're going to be able to easily get end of 2nd, early 3rd, and we're going to be happy. And Roshan, my RB6. I went in being like, I don't know if I'm going to like him. You know what? I do. He's a guy that is a poor man's Zach Charbonnet. Like if you don't get Zach Charbonnet, Roshan's a great backup plan because he's a less explosive version. He does everything very well. He's a master at none. I think his vision's really good. He does like to kick it outside a bit. That's my only issue. His best weapon is a stiff arm. He's got a nasty stiff arm, and I like seeing that in bigger running backs. So, yeah, I do like Roschon.
All right,
And
so
his heats.
you gave the positives on two of those players, and I'll come back with and knock them down a couple pegs for you. First big one, you broke your own freaking rule. Chase Brown is 23 years old. Good Lord. The man's got gray hair already for a running back. All right.
You know, if he had gray hair, you could cut it with Manscaped.
Yeah.
That's true.
And with his
Code THH,
size, I mean, he's 5'9.5", 5'10", whatever. He lacks agility. He relies on his speed. I saw him get stuffed at the goal line twice against Wisconsin. He has ball security issues. Those are the things that are going to knock this guy down. And be careful on how you inflate his value there, Tyler. That's Chase Brown. Roschon Johnson.
I'd put money down Chase Brown goes higher in the NFL draft than Sean Tucker.
Chase Brown. Yeah, because he went to the combine. Get out of here.
Hey, you have him at RB5. I have Chase Brown at RB5.
Ooh, water bet.
Ooh. I'll water bet that.
There we go.
I still got the app on my phone.
It's cool. All right.
We just need to note it somewhere so we don't forget.
Roschon Johnson, I really can't complain too much. 22 years old. Good speed, size.
Geriatric fuck.
Well, I mean, hey, everybody was knocking Zach Charbonnet, and Zach Charbonnet is the same damn age.
Hey, as long as they're not 24.
Another one of those guys, yeah, or 23. Chase Brown. Another one of those guys that does a lot. Good, but not much great. He had some flailing arms and pass protection, which I did not like. You need to know where you're going to set up and block. That's going to be a problem. Kind of reminds me like a Michael Carter archetype. He's not going to be the first back. He's going to be more of a second complementary back that will land on a team that's only going to give him a chance if the depth chart starts to fail during the season. So those are the things that I noticed with Roschon. I still like him. It all depends on landing spot. If he lands in somewhere like Dallas, like right behind what's his face now?
Tony Pollard. They're
Tony Pollard.
Combo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect combo. He's definitely a great complementary piece, and
Keep him in the great state of Texas,
and will be fantasy relevant.
Israel Abakanda, explosiveness. He's my RB9. Super young too, very raw at the position. That's what
he's.
I have for him.
He just turned 13.
He is actually 20, and I think he will be 20.
I had
like,
Roschon as my 9. I had Chase as my 10. Chase Brown was my 10.
I'm still in on Deuce Vaughn. I can't get over him.
I
He's
won't
so
be
fun
surprised
to
if
watch.
Kenny McIntosh doesn't get drafted.
Yep, and I think Deuce Vaughn does.
And my biggest guy. 100%. All right, so this one is going to open your eyes up a little bit. I moved up Evan Hull to RB6.
A lot of people have been moving him up.
Yeah.
And his downfield vision at the second level is compared to none.
First one in the gym, last one out.
Right. He reminds me a
every
lot.
Single run at the combine.
Yep.
He reminds me a lot of Austin Eckler. The style of play, the pass catching, the agility, the hops.
Bigger,
like the speed, the muscle behind it. I would love if he fell in the NFL draft to the 4th or 5th round. He had a great combine. He could definitely catch the ball. Yeah, he's a little bit older. He's 23, so he gets the knockdown. But over 1,450 scrimmage yards, guys. Like, that's insane. And
also, special teams, he's going to dominate at special teams, so he will hit the field sooner than later.
He's going to be on the field all the time. I think he could be on the field at all times.
Danny Woodhead.
He caught
Seems
Rex
like a Patriot to me.
He caught 55 passes for over 540 yards in 2022. Like, this guy can do it.
Doug
I
just
really
put that
think
in my
he can.
head. Patriots. He's gonna eat.
Oh,
at,
if he goes to the Patriots, man, he could
he's
definitely do it.
He's gonna eat at Stevenson, and they're
He's gonna be the new Brandon Bolden.
Oh, they're gonna kill each other. Yeah.
Going back to my rankings, I'll just go Bijan 1, tier of his own. Gibbs 2, tier of his own. Charbonnet, tier of his own at 3. Tank, Chase Brown, and Roschon, tier 4 through 6. 7 is Tajay Spears. 8, Kendra Miller. 9, Abakanda. That's tier 5. 10, Tucker. 11, A-Chain. 12, Zach Evans at tier 6. And then Deuce Vaughn, Dwayne McBride, and Evan Hall. But I think Evan Hall needs to move up ahead of Tucker for me. Just probably draft capital, and draft
Fair.
capital is going to change all these.
Everything. Yeah, this is pre-draft. Like things are going to change. Landing spot and opportunity is going to change everything for this class. And the class is so deep that it's going to take me a couple
that I
days
like
to
we
rearrange.
still haven't
things.
even talked about.
Mo Ibrahim is 25 years old, but he is
Good Lord,
probably,
I'm gonna go.
he's probably the best actual pure running back in this class, like the guy that knows how to run the ball.
I will gladly take 4th round rookie flyers on Mo Ibrahim all day
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a doctorate, so he's smart because he was in Minnesota for 7 years.
I mean, you've been there for 30
came
plus
out,
years,
started-
so that
he's
doesn't
a
really mean anything to
professor.
me.
Yes, I'm going to get out of here because it's snowing and it was 80 degrees a couple days ago. Now it's 30 and there's probably about half a foot on the ground. Get me out of Minnesota. Yeah.
All
Wild
right.
out there.
Well, Tyler mentioned his ranks. Obviously, I have the same thing. Bijan at number 1. I do have Charbonnet at 2. Slight bump over Gibbs at 3. Number 4, I had Kendre Miller, who I think is going to make something happen. 5, I had a Sean Tucker. 6 was Evan Hull, as I just mentioned. 7 was Devin A-Chain. I think he still finds a home. 8 was Zach Evans. 9 was Roshan Johnson, and you could flip those either way you want. 10 was Chase Brown, who I liked, but he old. And Tank Bigsby, 11, and Abin Anaconda was my 12. I'm not going to go into my later picks because you know what? It just
You're going to regret having tanked that low.
Am I though?
Shots fired from
Am
the
I?
tank.
I don't think so because I don't think anybody else is going to be taking him before the end of the second round.
I'm going to give you a guy that I liked who's on this list, and
Maybe Tyler.
I really liked his workout, and I think his tape is pretty good. Was Keaton Mitchell? He's fast. I think he's going to be a really good pass catcher in the next level, but he's small. He's 5'8", 179. But I liked what I saw from Keaton Mitchell, especially at the combine. So he was a guy that got on my radar. Yeah, just got it all covered. So any other last words on running backs? Give me like your deep sleeper guy that you're like, I'll walk out of this rookie draft in round 5 with this guy because I like him.
Deuce Vaughn, because I can't get over him.
I think other people are going to be on Deuce Vaughn.
I love Deuce Vaughn so much, but you ask him to pass protect, that dude is like an ant. He's not gonna survive. But man, he's so
he can headbutt your
explosive.
crotch real fast.
He's so explosive.
4th round, it was Evan Hull, but I think he's starting to climb up the ranks a little bit. So maybe Tajay Sharp, maybe Roshan Johnson.
Tajay Sharp.
I'm not really taking late rookie running backs. I'm not wasting a 4th round pick on a running back.
Really?
That's actually when you should take running backs and avoid wide receivers because the hit rate on receivers is not great. But
well,
like there's honestly
there's so many of these guys. Some of these guys aren't even going to be here next month.
Yep. Like
100%.
There's no Corey Clement here. We don't need to talk about it.
Corey Cement. No, there is. That is very true. All right. Before we get out of here, I did want to give a shout out to Manscaped earlier. I briefly mentioned them, but when you use code DHH, you'll save 20% off at checkout. We all know skin safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is absolutely awesome. Nose and ear trimmer, all the things to make all your areas smell good, be clean, be nice and smooth. So check out Manscaped. And while you're on the internets, James mentioned it earlier when he talked about the Prospect Film Room on the Dynasty Nerds. Check out the Nerd Herd, DHH code DHH for 15% off any subscription on there. And it's getting warmer. We got a little bit of a tease with 80-degree weather, and I'm like, I could use a new T-shirt. Like Viridian Global.
Is it getting warmer? You son of a bitch.
I don't have snow.
Oh, it was gorgeous
70 degrees
here this weekend.
today.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So sorry.
Played golf today.
Take your snow and you can keep it, Tyler.
Shove that in your snow plow.
Yeah. So go on Viridian Global. Check out DHH gear, whether you're looking for a hat, a T-shirt, a sweatshirt, all that stuff. For Doug, this is me. For James, for Tyler, this has been the running back episode. Lots of fun, boys. We'll be back next week with wide receivers / tight ends. So we'll see you next week on the Dynasty Happy Hour.
Man, I love those tight ends.